Hello everybody, welcome back to the Artisan of Glimmith. 551 solves right now, and if I recall, we now have the great big expanse open available to us. We did some of these. Oh no. We've unlocked the expanse, but we were still working through the rest of the size separations for now. I think that's it. Because we haven't gold this yet, so let's see what else we have on size separation. Right, that has to do that. That gets a box. Differing regions must have different areas, and the ones in tiles have to follow their rules, but otherwise, nothing else for us here. Colour those in, don't leave them uncoloured. Right, this too cannot come to here because that leaves a 1, which is not allowed. So that 2 is going to there. This can't be a 1. It can't be a 2. So it has to be at least a 3. It can't be a 3 because this has to be a 3. So this has to be a 4. It can't be a 4 because this has to be a 4. It can't be a 5 because this has to be a 5. It can't be a 6 because this has to be a 6. It can't be a 7 because that has to be a 7, and I'm really lost now. That felt like it was doing a great thing until it wasn't anymore. What? This is a 1. This is a 2 that can't trap that in there. This can't be a 1. It can't be a 2. It can't be a 3. It can't be a 4. It can't be a 5. It can't be a 6. How does this work? Oh wait, that's the 7. Excuse me, okay. That's the 3, that's the 7. That has to come to there, that has to come to there. That doesn't have to come to there. So this 4 gets to there. This 5 comes up to at least here. This can't be a 1, so it's going to be part of that 6. That needs a line, that needs a line. This 6 has to come up to at least here. This 6 could do that. That would be viable. But let's not jump the gun on that. Neighbouring regions must have different areas. Right, if this 5 were to do that, this 6 gets penned in. So I think that does actually have to be this. Therefore, that's the 2, that's the 3. Then this 6 has to join that 6 because we don't have enough stuff left, and that's the 5. Great start for a day of looking at logic. Neighbouring regions must have different areas. 1, 1, 1. Is this teaching us that corners don't count? 3. Or 2 and 3. So that's not defined yet, which is scary. 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. This 3 has to go up to at least there. They don't have to have different shapes, but they must have different areas. This one feels really small just because it's very wide and not that tall. Could be like a little guy with a crown with one hand on his hip and then another hand presenting 2 delicious flowers or something. That's what I see in this. It's like, not milligrams, what are they called? Not Ishihara plates. Rorschach tests. Rorschach test of this image is what my brain sees. This 2 cannot go to there because it blocks the 5 in. So that line must exist. It could go to here, it could go to there. This 5 must come to here. It could do that and pick up that. So we don't know that that's necessarily true or false yet. This is a 2 and a 3. This would have to be a 1, not a 1, not a 3. It could be a 2. It could be a 4. But all of that seems very assumptive. I just don't love how this isn't immediately clear cut, because it could be 3, 1, 3. Except, okay, it couldn't. Because if this is 3, 1, 3, this 3 shares a border with this 3. So it has to be 2, 3, 1, I think. And that 1 can't be a 1. It can't take this, because this 3 needs to do probably that. So that 3 is doing that, but this can't be part of a 3. So that could be part of a 4. No. What? What am I missing? If this is 1... If this is 3, 1, 3, this 3 can't exist. Because they're too close together. This can't be a 1, it can't be a 3, therefore it has to be a 2. Therefore that's a 3. That can't be a 1, has to be at least a 2. That could be a 3 there. This 3 has to be separate from this 3. So it can't do that. It can't do that. It can't do that. So that 3 must be there. I think we're getting somewhere now. Where else does this go? There's a lot of 3s down here that are going to need some attention. This 3 can't reach those to make 4s. And it can't touch this border, so that 3 has to do that. This 3 can't touch there, it has to do that. What else do we have? This 3 has to come out to at least there. This 3 can't go to there, so that has to be different. Could be a 1, could be a 2, could be a 3, could be a 4. Except this 3... If it does that, that leaves a 3 here, which can't exist. There's a 1, that could be a 3. Except how does this 3 exist with this one being present? So I think it has to be 2 there, excuse you, 1 there, 3 there. This 3 could exist like that. There's a couple of 5s around that we now need to account for. If that did that, that could do that, that could do that. That could be, not be a 3. That could be a 3, that could be a 5, that could be a 5, that could be a 1. Lovely. Any more down there? No. As you up here, you're a 5. A couple down here, 3 and a 4. Size separation range 3 to 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So we know all of that must exist. This has to come to at least here. It can't make a 5 with that, and it can't make a 5 with that. If this is a 4, this is a 3, this is a 3, and then this can't exist. So I think this has to be the 3. Wait. 3. How do we build this? That it's just 3s and 4s, but the neighboring regions have different areas. 4, 3, 3, 4. And then a 3 out of here somehow looks like is the only way I can immediately see to do that. 3 or 3. 4, no. So this has to be a 3. That can be a... Huh? This is a 4. That has to be a 3. This has to be a 3. That can be a 4 to break the line between them. This is a 4. That has to be a 3. That has to be a 4. That has to be a 4. That has to be a 3. This is all working so far. This is a 4. That has to be a 3. This is a 3. Right, there's a 4 here, a 4 here, a 4 here. That needs to be a 3, that needs to be a 3, that needs to be a 3. Those need to be 4s. Good. What are you doing up there? 4. Size separation, minimum 5. All regions have an area of at least 5. Well, whatever this tile is, can't do that. Can't do that. So I think that has to be a 5. Therefore, that's a 4. Can't do that. That's a 5, but I don't love this development because how would I... Oh, no. We can go bigger than 5. We can go to 6. That's fine. It's minimum 5. Okay. So, this 4 can't do that. That could do 5. Has to take that up for 6. Can't come left, so that has to be a line. Could come to the right. Could. Doesn't have to, but it could. That's got to be at least 3. If that were to go there, this can't take that. That has to be more than 3. 1, 2, 3. I think this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This has to go 1, 2, 3. Not 4. Not 5. So I think that gets that. That can pick up all of that. That can be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, God. How did I do all of this? Entirely forgetting about size separation. That's so silly. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5, 6, 5, 5. Oh, God. 5, 5. Can I make this a 7? But that's only a 4. I was so happy about so much of this, and then it all came crumbling down. That leaves that at 4. That makes that 6, this 6. That could be 7. Six, 7. I think I need to restart this whole thing. So that has to be a 5 in the center. We know that. That has to come out to there. That has to come out to there. This can't come down here. It can take that. It can't take that. Can't do that. It must take this. It might take that. It can't take that. That's a line. 1, 2, 3, 4 gets to there at least. Right. That's a line. That comes down to there at least. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That can't be a region because this has to be at least a little bigger. Six, 7, 11, 7, 6, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've gone really off the rails here again. No, I've gone so off the rails again. 5. This has to do at least that. That gets a line. You come down to there. You might do that, but you can't do that. You come out to here. You come out to there. You can't join up with that. Therefore, you must come out to at least there. This comes down. Can't go to there. Must come to here. Can't go to there. Must come to there. Must pick that up. This is all definites so far. This is an 8. That must be up here. Could connect to this. Could connect to that, but that would leave this as a 3. If this is 5 there, it leaves that trapped. So I think that has to take that. This is a 5, becomes a 6, 5, 5. 6, 6 can't exist. 5, 5. 6, 7. But then that's a 4. I'm so lost in the sauce right now. You have to come to there. You have to come to there. I just feel like there's going to be... You can't do that, so you must come out to here. You can't do... You can do that. Seven, 6, 18, 5 and 5. This 5 is really ruining my day. That has to be a line. This has to pick up at least one more. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Seven and 7. There it is. We just had to cut this down a little. Lovely. Not my most elegant finish, but I shall take it. 28 on 56. Solitude, so all these 4s aren't in groups together. Size separation. So this can't touch. No, the 4s can touch. No, they can't because of size separation. So this is not allowed. Right. That means that this 28 has to bifurcate all of the 4s. That's what we're working with. How do I make you a 4? And you a 4 that doesn't stop us getting into that corner. I need one more space somewhere for this guy. How can I draw this to be 4 without touching you? Something like that. That leaves a corner. This has to get out. This has to get out. This has to get out. Or be part of the 4s is the other option for them. Well, that can't be part of a 4. So that's a dead tile. That's a dead tile. Which means that has to get out. That's a dead tile. Can't be part of a 4. This must get out to here. I feel like that will make the most sense for this 4. Because if we do that, then... Yeah. Because if we do this, that blocks those in by trying to get to this 4. It goes up, so that's a 4, put a box around it. Which means this is a dead tile, and this is a dead tile, and that must be a dead tile to get those to touch. This has to be a dead tile. So this 4 has to get to somewhere. That bottom line just makes so much sense. None of these can be parts of 4s, so these are dead tiles. That connects to the 28. Right, we need to get up at some point. I like that coming out as far left as possible. How do we get this to get to 4? I think... No, because this one. We need these to get out somehow. That has to come out to here, because it separates the 2 4s. If this has to come out, that has to be dead to separate these 4s. That means you have to go to there, I think. But I just don't see how that tracks, because how are these guys getting out in a manner that lets this exist? That has to come up to here. This doesn't necessarily have to be tucked into that corner, though it seems like it's most likely. We'd have to get behind this 4. But that cuts that off again. I don't understand this top corner. That has to get out. That has to get out. You have to get out. You have to get out. You can't share that. You go to there. Therefore, this and this can't be part of 4s. Because this is a 4. Therefore, this has to get out. This makes most sense to me. Wait. There it is. I don't know how I didn't see this hook the first time, but we got it. Where are we at on our window now? Have I been solving other puzzles? Should I have been all the way back here? God damn it. I just went like that and started solving these. I did think there were more easier puzzles than I was expecting around there. So what window have I been contributing to? Restoration progress 1 of 8. Is it just the 1? Did I do some of these from back here? And I just did that 1. Oh, because it had solitude or something included in it, and I just hadn't noticed that I'd moved so far forward. All right, pulling back then. 4, 4, 5. 6 more to do. Size separation polyominoes. Okay. You get lines. You get a line. That can't exist. That can exist. All things must have neighboring different sizes. But we can have free space around our polyominoes. Now, let's look at that and that, right? This, if it cuts off there, that has to be at least 4, because of the 2 and the 3 around it. If this happens, that makes a 2 and a 1. That could be viable. That can't make a 3, so that's not viable. That could be a 4 and a 2 or something. It's not great logic for starts, is it? Okay, no. I was like, that can't be that. So therefore, this must be horizontal. It can't be horizontal to here because it touches that 3. It can't be horizontal to there because it touches that 3. So that's there. Put a box around it. I think, therefore, that must be a T. Put a box around it. That's a 2. That's a 3. And we've got a start. This can't go all the way up to there because that would put a 3 next to a 3. So this is either this or this, except it can't touch that. Therefore, that's a 3. Put a box around it. Therefore, this has to either go that way or that way, leaving this as a different color to that. Where else do we go with this? It's a great question. Okay, this 3 cannot touch any part of this 3. Therefore, it must do that, making a 1 and a 2. Therefore, this 4 is that one. This 4 cannot touch this 4. Therefore, it must do that so that this 2 can exist. That 2 can exist. That 2 can exist. Therefore, that must do that, making that a 1. That goes up to there. This could do this, but then it would touch a 4. So it does that. Then there's not much left. If this existed, that would be a 2, that would be a 3, although it could be bigger. But before we assess that, let's look at this. This can't touch this 3. So it can't go that way, it must go that way. That's a 4. Oh god. Wait, what? No, it can go that way. There's a 1. That's a 4. That's a 2. That's a 1. This can't be a 4. Can't be a 3. Could it be a 2 and a 1 and a 1? Yes. Yes, it could. Lovely. Who's that hiding back there? Are you part of this area? Oh, okay. That's how we didn't finish that. Okay. Something else. 6. 6. What do we have around here? 5. Doesn't feel like it should be too bad, but I've been thrown off before. Size separation. Right, this 3 cannot reach that 3 in any way. if it were to go here, we could do that. That would be a 1. That would be a 2. This can't be a 1 or a 2. Can't be a 3. Could be a 4. That would be a 3. That would be a 2. That would be a 3. That would be... impossible. No, yeah, that 3 leaves another 3 here. That could be a 2 and a 1. Except this 2 can't border that 2. Um, 3? Can't touch that 3. Alright, we're boned. Alright, find some logic. Please don't just go, oh, these 3 could be together, and then start colouring in. This 3 can't be in the same region as that 3, but needs to be 3 big in a way that lets this exist without touching that. Can't be that because it leaves that 3 in the middle. Can't be that. Can't be that because then this 3 would touch that 3. How do we resolve these 3 3s in a way that means the puzzle is happy? Possibly like that. It seems like the only way I can, but that might be where we were last time. If this makes any 3, we can't have 2 1s next to each other. This 3 would have to be that, leaving a 2, but that can't touch that one. Alright, let's go with this. Can't be a 1. Can't be a 2. Can't be a 3. It must be bigger. This must get either this or this. But we don't know which. This 3. Can't do that. Can do that. Can do that. Can't do that. So, somewhat limited options. So it's this or this. So does this 3 always take one of these tiles? No, it could be flat. And then this could go all the way down here to like some giant zone that stops everything else touching. Is that a thing that could happen? This 2 can't go that way because it leaves a 1. That's a nice thing to see. It can't go that way because that 3 can't get out. So that can't go that way, it makes a 1. That goes up, it makes a 2. This 3... Hold on. This 3... This 3 can't exist next to that 3. This can't make a 3 because it makes a 1. Can't do that because it makes a 2. Does that mean this 2 does have to go left? How would it go left with this? That would mean that 3's there. Okay. Okay. That can't go that way because it makes a 1. So that must come out to here and be some other size. This is going that way or that way, which means this can't go this way. That 2 gets a 2. This has to be at least... That was a 2. And that was a 3. 3, 4, 3. Nope. Oh, it was looking so good. Around here. Where does it all start unraveling? This has to be at least a 4, because it can't join that 3. This 2 can't do that, making a 2. That can't do that. Oh. Right, well, we learned a lot about how these 2s have to lock around the 1s. I think. So this 2 can't go that way and leave a 1. Therefore, that must be a line. That can't be a 1 or a 2. Therefore, that must be at least a 3, but it can't be a 3, so it must be at least a 4. That means this 2 has to come this way. This 3 can't touch that 3. Therefore, it must do this. That 3 can't go this way or this way. Therefore, they get joined together. This still seems to make sense to me. This 2 can't go there because it makes a 1. So that line must exist. If this 2 went that way, that could go that way. That would be a 3 that leaves a 1, which cannot be. This 2 can't go there, leaving a 1. So that must come out to here. That needs a line. That can't be a 3. This could be a 1. That can't be a 3, leaving 2 1s. That can't be a 3. That can't be a 3. That can't be a 3. Therefore, that's the only 3 that can go there. That's a 1. This feels very similar to what we were just doing. Which is the scary part. So, this 2 can't go there because it makes a 2 that touches a 2. That has to be a line. This can't be a 1, so that must come out at least to here. This can't be a 1. It must come out to at least there. That can't be a 2. That would come down to there. This can't come down to there. It would have to touch at least that. Then this is a 2. This is a 3. No. How can I colour the last of this in? That 2 can't go over that way. This 3 can't do that, and then that's scuppering me. It all looks so good till that moment. And I don't know where it goes wrong in that moment. Can't be a 1, it can't be a 2, it can't be a 3, it must be at least a 4. This can't be a 1, it can't be a 2, it must be at least a 3. just don't see where my logic falls apart. Right, this 2. Can't go up and create a block of 1. That line must exist. This 2 can't go that way and make a block of 2 because it touches 2s. Therefore, that line must exist. This can't be a 1 because it touches that. It must be at least a 2. Can't be a 2 because it touches that. Must be at least a 3. Can't be a 3. Must be at least a 4. Could be bigger. This 2 goes over. Put a box around it. This 3 can't touch the perimeter of that 3. So it can't do that. It can't do that. It can't do that. Therefore, it must do that. Put a box around it. This 3 can't touch that 3. Can't touch that 3. Draw lines. That 3 joins to that 1. Put a box around it. All of this still seems so valid. This 3 can't touch there. Can't touch there. Can't do that and leave a 1 next to a 1. Can't do that and leave a 3 gapper. Could leave a 2 gapper and a 1. Is that where I went wrong previously, perhaps? Because I had some weird 5 cutting across here. That would then be 2. This can't be a 1. This can't be a 1. Would have to be a 3. That 3 can't interact with that 3. That can't be a 2. No, I don't like that. This 3 cannot touch that. It cannot touch that. It cannot be this because that touches that. It cannot be that because it leaves a 3. What if that was the 2? And that was a 2 and that was a 1? Does this suddenly become viable? That can't be a 1. Can't be a 3. Must be a 2 or a 4. 3 there. No. 3 there. 2 there. 1 there. 3 there. It was ugly, but we got it. 31 out of 35. There's so many of these that are like still around that I haven't gotten to yet, it feels like. Feels like I'm missing a chunk of them. I know I did one that I wasn't technically supposed to. Size separation, area number, rows windows. You're a 9, you're 11, you're a 9, you're an 11. So, this red needs a blue. This red needs a blue. This red needs a blue. This blue needs a red. This blue needs a red. And presumably, in total, this is 11, 22. Is this 40 in total? Yes, okay. Now, it's not an exercise in colouring, so where do I find some logic? Neighbouring regions must have different areas, so what does that mean for these 11s not touching and these 9s not touching? When is it going to have to be an 11 near the top? Is it going to be like 4 bands? Like an 11, then a 9, then an 11, then a 9? Or something? Possibly top to bottom? Because horizontally, I don't see how the top 11 gets a red without wrecking the puzzle. How big is that? That's 9, but you didn't get a blue. That's 9. That's too big. Gosh. It seems to me that it makes sense that we have to have some kind of group of 11, some kind of group of 9, some kind of group of 11, some kind of group of 9, because otherwise the 11s will touch and the 9s will touch, right? That makes sense to me as like not necessarily a starting piece of logic, but a path towards what our solution will look like. This 11 needs a red. Excuse me. This 11 needs a red. If it's this one, that's blocked in. If it's that one, this 11 is going to touch some part of that. This 9, that's 7, that's 8. That can't touch that. That would be 2 9s touching. Swap. That's 9. 8, 9, 10, 11, 9. Like maybe if you don't realize that the level has to be in stripes, it becomes a lot more difficult, but for a 5, that didn't seem bad at all. It's my perpetual, not complaint, but observation about these puzzles. The difficulty marking always seems to be weirdly off. You have to come to there. All regions have to be between 3 and 4. That's going to be a hoot. Where else can we begin with this? This has to have a different colour than that and a different colour than that. If it's a 3, this could be a 4. Then this would have to be some kind of 4. That would have to be a 3. Then this would have to be 3 without touching that 3. But that's just, as I say so often, that's just colouring in. I need something more logic-y. But what? It's a great question. It's a great, great question. Well, those have to be different colours than this. This also has to be... Well, there's no way a 4 can go all the way around like that, so I don't have to worry about that necessarily. Like, there's lots of things like this, where, obviously, this can't be a 4, but that could be a 4, a 3, a 4, a 3, a 4, a 3, and then that breaks down here. But as ever, that's just a result of colouring. So on the other level, just now, I was like, oh, this has to be 4 bands of straight lines that don't intersect. And that was a 5, but that seemed easy. This is a 4, but my brain doesn't see where the logic starts. And that just makes it really hard. If this was a 4, that'd have to be a 3. That would have to be a 4. That would have to be a 3. That would have to be a 4. This would have to be a 3 that connects or disconnects a 4, and a 4. Therefore, that's a 3. That's a 4. That's a 3. That's a 4. That's a 3. I don't know how much of that is vibes versus getting lucky versus good intuition. But we got it. 33 of 35. You are 2. I know this much to be true. Size separation exists. You must pick up that one. You pick up that one. You get that. You get that. You have to get this one, I think, because if you get that, we end up with problems. You get that. Right, the 2 exists. So something must be a 3. I think it has to be this, because this can't be a 4. It can't get bigger going out into the space around it. Neighboring regions must have different areas. If that's a 3, and this is a 2, and this is a 3, what can this do to be... oh, this has to be a 2. Okay. This has to be a 2 because this is a 3. This has to be a 3 because those are 2s. Okay. This can't be a 3. Can't be a 2. Has to be at least a 4. At least. This can't be a 2. Has to be a 3. Can't be a 4. Has to be a 3. This is a 3. This can't do that and leave this empty. So this has to be at least a 3. Can't be a 3. Has to be a 4. Put a box around it. This can't be a 2. Has to be at least a 3. That has to touch to there at least. This feels like it's solving much better than the last time I did this. And I'm not sure why. This has to touch that blue. Can't be a 3. This also can't be a 3. So that has to be a 4. This has to be a 5. And I've hit problems. Which looks like about the same problems I hit last time. This is a 3, this is a 2. This can't be a 2 or a 3, has to be a 4. Because that can't be a 3. That can't be a 2. That can't be a 4. Can't be a 3. Can't be a 2. Could it ever be that? No. This can't exist because that puts those 2 dominoes next to each other. Okay, that's good knowledge. This red can't get to any other blue. This has to be at least a 3. This has to take that blue. This can be a 3. But this can't be a 4 and a 4. Can't be a 5 and a 3. This can't be a 2. There's something about this that doesn't add up in the end game here. That has to touch that. Can't be a 3. Can't be a 4. Could be a 5. That can be a 2. There it is. It was just this tiny bit at the end. Cool. 34 of 35. Let's do one more at least. There's the 6 there. There's a 4 and a 5 over here. size, separation, range 2 to 4, area number. So this is valid. They don't have to have unique symbols in them. This 2 cannot go to there because this 2 would be next to it. But we're going to do a little dance with these 2s. So that's that. That can't be that. Can't be that. Has to be that. That can't be that. Can't be that. Could be this. Could be that. This 2 can't go to there. Could go anywhere else. Has to be between 2 and 4. Neighboring regions must have different areas. So just thinking about how if this is a 4, this would then have to be it can't be a 5, okay. So this can't go here. Because then this 3 ends up there, that ends up being a 1, which is not allowed. So that has to go that way. Then I think, well, that could be a 3, that could be a 4. But then that 4, that could technically be correct. Otherwise, it could be, this can't be a 1. It can't be a 2. Can't be this 3. Can't be that 3. Okay, that adds up to logic to some of what we were just drawing, but without the logic. So this can't be a 1. It can't be a 2. Can't be a 3 next to this. Can't be a 3 next to this. Could be a 4. Could be a 4. So it's this shape plus this or this. Now, this 3 has to get out because it's going to be that and that plus either this or this, and then the other one takes the other. So that's that, and obviously somewhere above this line there'll be the unique solution that stops this being this or that. But it's going to be one of those. So you take this or this in a matched pair. What else can we do? This 4. This 4 can't take that tile because then these will be competing for space. So I think this line must exist. And if this is the 4, then that would have to come around here. That would be the 4, that would be the 3. That would have to be a 3, that would have to be a 3. Is that resolvable? Well, it's not really using logic, it's just colouring at that point. Okay, let's think about this 3. If this 3 goes down, this 4 doesn't have enough room. If this 3 goes that way, it's touching another 3. That's not allowed. Therefore, I think those do have to be in the same region. Put a box around it. Therefore, this 3 can't go up because it would be touching that. So that gets a line. That could do that. That goes to there. If this did this, this would have to be a 2. Because it couldn't be a 3 and it couldn't be a 4. But then that could resolve that way. So I don't have a line on how this 4 resolves yet. This 2 can't go that way to that 2, so you get a line up. That's something. It's a small win, but a win nonetheless. Now, we can't make any 5s. They have to be between 2 and 4. So... what does that mean for us? This 3. Can't do that. Could do this. Could do that. Can't do this. Can't do that. So therefore this must exist. It's just a matter of whether this 3 takes that one or that one. So we have a classic case of this plus either this or this. If this came down to here, this couldn't be a 2. It couldn't be a 3. That would leave a 1. If it was a 4, this 4 would have to get out that way. That 2 would have to go to here. That would be a 3. And then this 3 can't resolve because it would be touching... Okay. Scratch a bunch of that. How does this 3 resolve? If we now know that this must be part of a 3, that is not this 3, that can't go to there. That has to be a line. That can't go to there. That has to be a line. It can't go to there. That doesn't necessarily have to be a line. It could do this. It can't do that. I feel like I'm putting in way more work than this 4 difficulty puzzle necessarily needs, but there's going to be logic somewhere that I'm missing. That line doesn't have to exist yet. If this is the 2, that has to be the 4, that has to be the 3. This 3 would have to either touch that or that, which it can't. Therefore, if that's the 2, then this 3 can't go to there. Can't go to there because it leaves a 1. I think these 2 do have to be in a group. After some thought. And it's just about how the rest resolves. So the top line here could be like a 4 and a 2 and then the 4 on the end. Could be a 2 and then a 4. Okay, no, it couldn't go 2, 4, 1. Because this 4 has to take up some amount of this room. I think this is 4, 2, 4. That way, that way. That way. Is this going to resolve? 2, 4, 4. Nice. Size separation. Gold. We've been going for an hour. It's going to take a decent chunk of time, as is, this. Size separation, range 3 to 5 polyominoes. That is, finding the in to that is going to be a beast, isn't it? Also this. Size separation, so this has to be a 3 and a 1. But which way around that goes, I don't know, and I think I'm going to let my brain rest there. And then next time, either we'll try and do a couple of these bigger ones, or we will start delving into the castle by the looks of things. This just says restoration progress, so we don't have specific themes anymore, which is interesting. But still, we were at like about 500 puzzles, so there's another 500 back here. Maybe with new mechanics, maybe not. we will wait and see for now. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.